Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar. Again, this is the Second Chance Act Smart Supervision webinar hosted by the National Reentry Resource Center. My name is Heather Tubman-Carbone. I'm a policy analyst at the Council of State Governments Justice Center, and I'll be presenting today along with the other folks whose names you see up on your screen. We'll be joined in a moment by Dr. Beth Skinner. She's the director of the National Reentry Resource Center here at the Council of State Governments. We're joined by Julie James, senior policy advisor at Bureau of Justice Assistance. And we're also joined by Dr. Ed McGarrell, director and professor of the School of Criminal Justice at Michigan State University. Thank you to everyone for joining the webinar and to BJA and Michigan State University for partnering with us on this presentation. Before getting into the details of the Smart Supervision Grant Program, I'd like to take a moment to give everyone a bit more background on the Council of State Governments Justice Center. The Justice Center is a national nonprofit organization that serves policymakers at the local, state, and federal levels from all branches of government. Our Justice Center staff provide practical, nonpartisan advice and evidence-based, consensus-driven strategies to increase public safety and strengthen communities. Technical assistance for your Second Chance Act grant is provided by the National Reentry Resource Center, which is funded by the Bureau of Justice Assistance and managed by us here at the Justice Center. We provide support to Second Chance Act grantees and to the field at large. We're constantly adding new content and resources to our website, and we send out a monthly newsletter that provides information about the latest research, funding opportunities, distance learning events, and other news about reentry. To sign up for the newsletter, please visit the link on your screen after today's webinar. On behalf of the NRRC, I'd like to congratulate everyone and say that we're looking forward to working with you this year. Collectively, you've planned some very exciting initiatives with plenty of areas of overlap that I believe will offer some great opportunities for peer-to-peer learning. Some of the more common areas of interest in the FY2014 grantee proposals relate to expanding supervision activities to include cognitive behavioral change programs and mentoring services, among others, a focus on risk and needs assessment, including validating instruments, implementing new models for case planning, and developing quality assurance frameworks. And proposals also address training for supervision staff and community partners to move towards more collaborative supervision services. So again, congratulations to everyone, and we're excited to begin working together. Now I'm going to turn it over to Julie James with the Bureau of Justice Assistance to tell you a bit about the origins of the SMART program and expectations for this grant track.
The senior policy advisor overseeing that program. And the Smart Supervision Program is one of the newest programs that's part of the Second Chance Act stable programs, and really arose in FY12 as a response to all the fantastic things that were already going on in the field. Many of you know that the Attorney General has pledged to be smart on crime, and we're proud that the Smart Supervision Program is one of the many ways that DOJ is fulfilling this commitment. It's part of BJA's SMART suite, and what SMART means is using data and research to improve the effectiveness of criminal justice programming, and that's one of BJA's strategic goals. It really keys into our mission to provide leadership and services in grant administration to help you all do the work that you do. Now we're in our third class of grantees and couldn't be happier to see the kinds of progress and improvements that you all have made. So Smart Supervision really embodies that goal of using research and information to improve the effectiveness of criminal justice, and in particular, probation and parole supervision. You may notice that the name has changed from Smart Probation, and we're thrilled that this year Congress has expanded our ability to use this funding for both probation and parole supervision. And so what this means is that we are really looking to you all to help spread the good work and broaden the evidence base for addressing the needs of offenders, improving supervision success rates, and reducing recidivism. You all know that grant funding is for a 36-month project period, and that is a significant amount of time, I think, for you all, and we want to give you a chance to plan for that. So what we've done is we have a requirement that you submit an action plan, and you can use $150,000 other money to do that within 180 days of receiving final budget approval, which I understand all of you have received from our Office of Chief Financial Officer. And then the remaining project funds will be released upon our approval of the action plan. The goals here, I won't repeat them word for word. These all appeared in the solicitation. Some of you are addressing all, and others are addressing some of these, but all of you all in your projects are fulfilling our goals for the Smart Supervision program. A mandatory project component, and this is for the first time we required a research partner. All these other components are obviously important. We need the agency to be committed, and that you all are already using appropriate integration of evidence-based principles in your day-to-day work. And we saw that from all of you. And as I said, the research partner is a new mandatory requirement. Previously was a priority consideration. And so all of you did include your research partner. You're going to receive support to meet all the requirements of the grant, and Heather talked about, of course, CSG, Justice Centers, National Reentry Resource Center. Each of you is going to get to know your TA lead pretty well, and you should consider them sort of a one-stop for all your questions you have about the grant and about any of the resources that are available to you. And speaking of that, we have a new resource for FY2014. I'm so thrilled that Michigan State University is partnering with the National Reentry Resource Center to provide a research partner orientation course for the first time to Smart Supervision Grantees. Dr. Ed McGarrell has a long history now of providing this kind of support to ensure the health and productive relationship between agencies and research partners, and he's been doing this work both in Project Safe Neighborhoods context and more recently with our Burn Criminal Justice Innovation Grantees. And so for the first time, we're going to be tailoring this to our Smart Supervision Grantees. Our goal for providing this training for you all is the summer of 2015. And so backing that out, we'd love for all the subcontracts with your research partners to be in place. And we're confident that you can meet that timeline given that you've received final budget clearance on your applications and your awards. So that you all can attend, and we strongly encourage this. We think it's going to improve your collaboration and the outcomes in the end. So that does it for me. I'm going to hand it back to Heather, and she's going to introduce the next portion of the presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie. So to expand on the support that Julie described, I'm actually now going to turn it over to Dr. McGarrell to talk about Michigan State's involvement in the program.
Great. Thank you, Heather and Julie. This is Ed McGarrell, and it's a pleasure to be with everyone today. We're very happy to be working with BJA and the National Reentry Resource Center, as well as with all the Smart Supervision Grantees. As as Julie presented the mandatory project components, she mentioned the role of the research partner and the integration of evidence-based principles, working with the research partner on data collection and analysis, problem assessment, strategy development, and monitoring and evaluation. And the MSU's team role is to support exactly those project components. We'll do this through two primary strategies, and the first is to provide a workshop for all the Smart Supervision Grantees on data-driven processes, the integration of research and implementation of evidence-based practice. In addition, we'll work with the NRRC and coordinate with them to help support your efforts through technical assistance. Just to give you a little background, our team has worked with the Department of Justice and DJA specifically since, well, for a number of years, actually preceding Project Safe Neighborhoods, but most fundamentally beginning with Project Safe Neighborhoods in 2002. I'm guessing that some of the people on this call have worked with PSN initiatives within your own jurisdiction, but just as a reminder, PSN is a federal program intended to reduce gun crime through comprehensive approaches that involve data-driven problem solving and enforcement, prevention, training, and education. A unique component of PSN is that it required the integration of research partners initially across all 94 U.S. attorneys' offices. And our research, meaning the MSU team's research on Project Safe Neighborhoods, produced a couple of interesting findings. One was that the integration of the research partners into the PSN team was associated with better implementation of overall strategies. A second finding was that, as you would expect, with better implementation, there were greater reductions in violent crime. A third finding was that there were uneven patterns of the successful integration of the research partner. In some places, there were tremendous successes, and what I would equate to a long-term marriage emerged between the multi-agency criminal justice team and their research partner. In some other jurisdictions, I guess you would describe it as more of a kind of a mid-level pattern of effectiveness where the research partners clearly contributed to the PSN initiative. And then in a smaller set of initiatives, the research partner integration really did not occur effectively. And so in our work with BJA, one of our goals has been to try to provide support through this research partner orientation course and related technical assistance to enhance the integration of the research partner role and to increase the likelihood of effective implementation of the use of the data-driven process and the value of having a research partner working. So as Julie mentioned, what we're planning to do during the summer of 2015 is to offer this research partner orientation course. It'll be customized from what we've done with PSN and the Byrne Criminal Justice Innovation Grant to try to make it particularly relevant for the Smart Supervision context. It'll be a two-day workshop, and what we'd love to see are basically three-people teams from each of the sites. While we emphasize the research partner role, the real effort is to create functioning teams around the research partner role. So we think it's really important to have not only a research partner, but other members of the overall Smart Supervision team. At the workshop, we'll cover kind of the background on this idea of the research partnerships and the action research model and the smart justice approach that Julie talked about. We'll talk specifically about the research partner model and try to take from the lessons learned of the effective integration of research to increase the likelihood that you can make this a valuable part of your SMART supervision effort. We'll talk about strategic problem solving in the community supervision context and evidence-based practice. And another value of this workshop that we've learned in the past is the participants tell us that they learned a great deal by learning across sites. So as the various SMART supervision teams come together, we know that it'll be an opportunity for you to learn from your peers as well. For the research partners, what we hope that you'll come away from are some cutting-edge approaches to evaluation, and we know that it's really, while a 36-month project period may seem like a long time until you're actually at the end stage of evaluation. I think all the researchers know that the more that you can plan toward the evaluation from the get-go, the greater likelihood of accomplishing that goal. As I mentioned earlier, there'll be the peer-to-peer learning, and that'll occur through the network of research partners as well. We'll also talk about sustaining the research partnership, and I think my colleagues at BJA, as well as the National Reentry Resource Center Resource Center would also agree with me on the goal that we'd love to see these research partnerships in the SMART supervision context to extend well beyond the project. And finally, we'll put this all in the context of OJP's overall research integration effort to try to move from or to embed these principles of data-driven problem solving and ongoing assessment and evaluation into the full program. So we look forward to working with you, and we're excited about this opportunity. I'm sorry. In addition to the workshop, we will be coordinating with the Reentry Resource Center to provide technical assistance to all of you. And as I've described above, our emphasis will be on these points of the integration of research, the ongoing problem analysis, the transition from the analysis to evidence-based practice, and then the effective implementation of those practices. So we hope that we can assist you all along through this pattern. Heather Perez from the MSU team will be your immediate contact for technical assistance related to the research partner role and the integration of research. I think your site liaison to the NRRC, will be your primary contact, but don't hesitate to reach out to Heather as well. And I'm sure that we will be coordinating with the National Reentry Resource Center to make sure that we find the best way to support your efforts. And we really look forward to working with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McGarrell. So to recap, folks, Dr. McGarrell and his team at Michigan State will be providing evaluation support through both the Research Partner Orientation course this summer, and they'll also be available to provide general evaluation support over the grant period. And as Dr. McGarrell said, you should feel free to reach out to his team directly using Heather's contact information on your screen, or to use us at the NRRC as a conduit. As Julie said, you should consider us at the NRRC to be your one-stop shop for grant support. And so now to give you sort of an overview of what we will do as far as technical assistance, your designated National Reentry Resource Center Technical Assistance Lead will provide and coordinate support in several areas. So first, they'll help you with completion of the Planning and Implementation Guide, and that's the guide that was sent to you this morning. It was sent shortly before the webinar, and the intention was by no means for anyone to review it in advance. We just wanted to have it available for reference in case you have any specific questions during the webinar. Another main thing that will help us is identifying measures and strategies to track your progress. As Dr. Garrell said, the 36-month period can at times feel incredibly long, and it can also at times feel incredibly short. And one of the things that we've spent time helping folks do in the past is to identify process measures to celebrate successes, which leads us to, I'm going to skip forward a bit, leads us to the final point on here, which is that we're also here to help you share your successes with stakeholders, with the field, and with the press to garner and maintain support for your initiative. And the other main thing we do is we provide content and facilitation support. And to give you a greater sense of what those types of support look like, this slide presents 7 things that we do, or 7 strategies that we use in providing technical assistance. So the first thing we can do is provide guidance on engaging your leadership team. And as you'll see when we go through the planning and implementation overview in a few moments, what we mean by that is not only to help develop strategies to engage the right people, but even from the very start to identify the most appropriate people and to define roles and define a leadership structure. Another thing we do is to provide meeting facilitation. So we can attend meetings with you, we can facilitate meetings. For example, one of the things we've done in the past is to help folks rewrite their mission statements, and that can often be a tedious process. And by having us in the room, we can collect information from various stakeholders, provide samples of successful mission statements from other jurisdictions, and really help to bring that together for you. Related to that, we can also share information, and that information may be within or outside of your organization. For example, we can share sample policies or procedure manuals, MOUs or subcontracts that other grantees have developed. We can provide objective feedback and recommendations. There are plenty of trainings that we can provide ourselves, but sometimes for the skills-based trainings, we have a great array of resources and consultants that we're happy to connect you with. We've also spent a lot of time helping folks in different jurisdictions overcome different types of barriers to implementation, and so that's something that you can lean on us to support. We can provide, as I said, guidance on policy and procedure development, and to help you monitor your progress and accomplishments, and then to promote those achievements. We're available to provide constant support. You can reach us via phone, email, we can come out on site in person, and our support can come in the form of trainings, referrals to expert consultants, and by providing resources, by collecting them and referring you to resources, and also just bringing them directly on site. We try to be responsive to grantees' unique needs and strengths and also vulnerabilities, recognizing that sometimes initiatives require a little bit of sensitivity around politics. And most importantly, we want everyone to know that our technical assistance is by no means an audit. We are not here to find faults and then passively watch as they hinder your program success. We are here to support your program and to support you in overcoming any barriers to implementation. And on this slide, you can see that there are specific technical assistance leads. There are 3 of us leading technical assistance at different sites, and your technical assistance lead will reach out to you by email in the next week or so to schedule a first phone call or maybe even a visit. There's no need to take down their contact information now. I just wanted to let you see their names so that you'll recognize them when they appear in your inbox. So in Alameda, in Maine, in Noble County, and in Washington State, Stephanie will be reaching out to you, and my colleague Daisy will be reaching out to Florida and Maricopa. And Georgia, you are stuck with me, and I will be reaching out to you shortly. Next, we're going to move into the Planning and Implementation Guide. And this guide serves several purposes. Overall, it's there to support your work. And the guide is made up of a few sections, which we'll go through in a moment, but generally, this is a resource to first identify your implementation goals and define some measurement objectives. It also walks through how to develop an effective leadership structure and to engage key individuals. About midway through the guide, It helps you develop a comprehensive program oriented around evidence-based practices. And we like to focus on this because sometimes about midway through the program, when you're knee-deep in the logistics of getting something up and running, we find that it's good to sort of take a step back and refocus on the key evidence-based practices and principles that you were seeking in the first place. The guide also helps you communicate progress with key stakeholders, begin to define your evaluation plan, and to think about sustainability. And as you'll see in a moment, each guide has a couple of sections, and your assigned TA provider will work through those with you in order to develop a technical assistance plan. In addition, completing this guide will help you comply with the Bureau of Justice Assistance's expectations for the grant program. As far as format, each section in the guide is divided into two parts. The first part of each section provides a bit of background information about evidence-based principles for improving supervision outcomes, and these are the building blocks of each initiative. And this is by no means intended to serve as a be-all, end-all education tool. Everyone on this call won the grants. We know that you know what you're doing. This is really here just to help our conversation along. And then the second part of each section is comprised of exercises in order to do a self-assessment of how program activities align with the evidence-based practices and other recommendations in the guide. So as you can see now, this is an overview of the guide. It's made up of 5 sections, and the first section is about identifying implementation goals. The second section is about establishing a leadership structure. Section 3, you can see, is a bit different. It's broken into focal areas, and your technical assistance provider will talk to you about the focal areas, which I'll also describe in a moment, that will be most helpful to your jurisdiction. Section 4 is about communication, and the final section, Section 5, is about program evaluation and sustainability. So in that first section, the purpose of this section is to effectively plan your reentry strategy and to make sure that all stakeholders are clear about the big picture goals for the grant. In the course of completing the exercises, you'll be asked to describe some details about the project, including your target population, goals, key services, and performance measures. You'll also be asked to inventory any partner organizations and the roles that they play and strategies for their continued engagement. And these exercises, they are intended to support the work that you're already doing. They are not intended to add to the work, but we believe that you will find them helpful as we move forward with implementation. In Section 2, we talk about how to establish an effective leadership structure. The establishment of this structure is not simply a mandatory requirement for grantees, but it really is an essential strategy for improving supervision outcomes. And effective planning and implementation of the supervision strategies and other services will require coordination across multiple agencies and systems. In addition to serving as a strategic planning and implementation oversight body, effective leadership will help you unite all system stakeholders around your program, and that's what we're here to facilitate. The exercises in this section will help you identify and engage leaders and identify specifically what their roles are and define some expectations. Section 3, as I said before, is a bit different than the others. We're fully aware of the fact that grantees, as much as you have stuff in common, you're also trying to implement your own unique strategies. And so in an effort to make this guide as useful as possible, we've divided the media section of this guide into what we call 5 focal areas. And the first area is about setting conditions of supervision and coordinating caseload or caseload assignment. The second focal area is about case management. The third is about quality programming. The fourth is about supervision responses or incentives and sanctions. And the final focal area is about revocation decision making. Your individual TA providers will work with you to identify which of these is most relevant to your grant work, and then they'll ask you to walk through and complete the relevant sections. The fourth section of the guide is about communication. Information and education directed towards certain groups can help establish the need for and the value of your initiative, especially when the information provided includes data and compelling anecdotal information. If the leadership team takes on an education piece, they can, to some extent, control the message about the program and decide when and how to release information about it. The purpose of this section is to help you identify information to share with stakeholders, and then to determine the best way to communicate beyond the stakeholders to staff, clients, and the public. And the exercises in this section will help you to develop talking points and materials that should be distributed to the various groups. The final section in this guide is about program evaluation and sustainability. Program evaluations can inform your current implementation, so what you'll be doing under this grant, as well as future implementation. And the evaluations will also be useful to provide information to stakeholders and funders about the effects, potential limitations, and the strengths of the program. As you've already heard, Michigan State is on board to help you plan for your evaluations, to coordinate with your research partners, and to ensure that you meet the requirements set forth by BJA under this grant program. In the exercises under this section, you'll be asked to create what we call a modified logic model. And this will be a great exercise to help you think through what are your goals, what are you doing to reach them, and then what are the different types of data elements or indicators that you should be collecting in order to conduct the best possible evaluation. The exercises in the P&I guide should be returned to your assigned TA provider according to the dates on this slide. So you can see that for the first, second, fourth, and fifth sections, the exercises are due to your TA provider at the end of January. The third section, the one where your TA provider will identify the appropriate exercises, that will be due to your TA provider in early March. And once you've sent your responses, you and the TA provider will work together to do any revisions, to clarify any goals, to develop a TA plan, and then those responses will be submitted by us to BJA in early April. With that, I'd like to go ahead and answer any questions. Folks can feel free to, if you prefer, you can unmute. We can unmute your lines and ask questions verbally, or you can feel free to enter them into the Q&A panel box. We have plenty of time for questions, and if for some reason we don't get to everyone, we can certainly follow up after the webinar. So please go ahead and enter any questions that you have into the Q&A panel box, or if you have a question that you think is much better to present verbally, please let us know and we will unmute the lines. If there are any questions that folks would rather ask via email, the names that appear on your screen now are the perfect or the most appropriate contact people. First, you'll see Julie listed as the contact for the Bureau of Justice Assistance. Dr. Beth Skinner is the director of the National Reentry Resource Center. Any general questions about the Resource Center or our resources should be directed to her. Next is myself, and any questions about the Smart Supervision Program and the National Reentry Resource Center can come to me. And then lastly, any questions about Michigan State and the evaluation course and evaluation support should be directed to Heather Perez. We haven't gotten any questions yet, but I'd like to give it another moment just in case anyone is furiously typing. We're here for any and all questions about the program requirements, about evaluations, content, technical assistance, anything you'd like to ask. All right, we have our first question. The question is, if we propose an expedited time frame in our grant for the planning process, can we still abide by that? I'm actually going to ask Julie if you wouldn't mind taking this one.
Sorry, can you repeat? That was an expedited timeline for what?
For the planning process, so to cut that down to 90 days?
You can submit it whenever you've got it ready. That was an outside timeline. So if you're raring to go, please, by all means, submit.
Thanks, Julie.
Sure. And I think the key, just to build on that a little bit, the thing that's going to take the longest as far as developing the action plan is getting the contracts in place. So that's really, now that you've got access to the money, you can go ahead and contract, so that might be the thing. You might already have your evaluation plan, you might already have your logic model, and certainly a lot of this is just going to be building on what you've put into your program narrative already or may have submitted as an attachment to your application. But I think that's what we're really looking for, is that you've got that relationship, in addition to those other things, that you've got that relationship up and running and everyone is on the same page about the roles and responsibilities of each party.
Great. Are there any other questions? Well, if there's nothing else, this concludes our webinar. Before you exit the webinar, I'd like to ask you to complete a brief survey. There was a link to the survey in a reminder email that you should have received, so you may have already completed the survey. If not, please click on the link in the chat box. The survey asks some very basic questions that will allow us to better familiarize ourselves with your program. The survey is short. It shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. Oh, and we have a few more questions. So to answer the first question that's come up is whether the slides will be available, and the answer to that is yes. This presentation will be made available, both the audio and the slides, and we will send those to you in an email, probably in about a week or so. I apologize if there's a delay with the holiday coming up. But yes, the slides will absolutely be made available, and if you have any sort of urgent question that you'd like to get them sooner, please don't hesitate to email me about that. The next question, great question. So researcher training was not budgeted in our grant application. Will the grant be paid with a budget, or will this be paid for with a budget change request? So I'm excited to tell you that the funding in order to attend the training is covered. That has been budgeted for. That does not have to come out of your grant funds. And the training is a great opportunity for folks to come together, and I hope that everyone will take advantage of it.
And Heather, this is Julie again. I don't know if there's any confusion about the other training that we're, or the other travel that we've asked folks to budget for, and maybe that's where some of the, or maybe it's completely clear to everyone else, but for me, I think it would have raised some questions. So the budget that they submitted, and then there was the one item in there for the travel to the Second Chance Act conference. So this is a separate expense that's going to be covered through the NRRC and Michigan State. And so that it's just you all showing up and giving of your time, but the travel expenses are going to be covered through those sources.
If there are any other questions, please go ahead and enter them in the box. I'm going to continue with some of the wrap-up information, but please do not take that as a sign that we're not taking any more questions. We certainly are. The next thing that I was going to mention is when the slides will be available, which we have just covered. The other thing I'd like to mention is that the links to this presentation, in addition to emailing you the slides, the links will be available on our National Reentry Resource Center website, which is csgjusticecenter.org/NRRC. I encourage everyone to take a look at that website, take a look at our resources, and to sign up for our newsletter as well. Well, if there are no more questions at this time, I'd like to go ahead and thank everyone for joining us today. We at the National Reentry Resource Center are very excited to meet you and to work together over this grant period. And as I mentioned before, your assigned technical assistance provider, your TA lead, will be in touch via email in the next week or so, and they'll be reaching out to set up introductory conference calls and to begin talking about site visits, and also, most importantly, to learn about what it is that they can do to support your work at this time and going forward. If you have any questions before they reach out to you, please don't hesitate to email me. Again, I'm Heather Carbone. My email should be appearing on your screen at this time. And thank you all for joining us today. Oh, I'm sorry, we do have one final question. Julie, I think this might be best for you. The question is, at the beginning of the presentation, it was mentioned that there would be a 180-day window for additional funding requests. Would you mind explaining or clarifying this a bit further?
Sure. So I'm going to go back to the solicitation for this one. And you all may remember, this is on page 9. It's a special condition in each of the awards that says that funding, your grant funding is going to be withheld except for $150,000. So you have immediate access to draw down up to $150,000 until you submit an action plan and the action plan is approved. And then you'll have access to the total sum. So it's not a question of additional money, it's just that funding is being withheld until that condition is met. I hope that answers the question. If not, please let us know.
I have to admit, I'm hesitant to wrap up because I love that we're getting questions. But we don't have any other questions at this time. I'm intentionally speaking slowly just in case another one pops up. But we do not have any more questions at this time. So again, I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us. As I said, please check back in your emails and or look out for a further email from us to complete that brief survey. We'll be sending around the slides, and I encourage you to check out the National Reentry Resource Center's website and to sign up for our newsletter. If you have any questions before your TA providers reach out, or even after they do, please do not hesitate to contact any of us who are listed on your screen with our emails at this time. All right, well, we don't have any more questions, so that'll wrap us up. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today, and we look forward to working together. Thank you very much.